This is the Basano Vase of Death, an artifact so cursed that it's been hidden away for centuries. In today's video, we're going to find out why this vase has remained hidden for all these years, why the curse is real, why people try to steal it even though they know the legends surrounding it, and how in the world we could actually get our hands on such a powerful magical item. Before we begin, I'd like you to subscribe if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, and also stick around until the end because we have another video that I think you'll really enjoy. Now, let's go back to the cursed vase. The story behind the Banshee vase starts with its previous owner, Eleanor of Aquitaine. If that name sounds familiar, it's probably because you played Crusader Kings 2 or 3. Eleanor was Queen of England from 1152 to 1169, and Queen of France before that. She was actually the first Queen of England to become queen in her own right, as she inherited the French throne through her mother. As a matter of fact, when she married King Louis VII of France, he had to sign an agreement stating that his wife would be able to rule alongside him. So yeah, Eleanor was quite the badass, and in the game they made her a legendary ruler. Sadly, Eleanor's marriage to Louis didn't last long due to his untimely demise. Just 2 years after their union, he kicked the bucket during the siege of the city of Toulouse. After the divorce, Eleanor went on to marry Henry II of England. This time she did not share the throne with her new husband, but she certainly had an influence over him. In fact, Henry named their eldest son after her first husband. A little odd if you ask me, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Eleanor and Henry weren't exactly known for having a blissful marriage. They constantly fought with each other, which may have been one of the reasons for Henry's obsession with the Knights of the Round Table. He spent most of his time trying to win the favor of his knights rather than spend any quality time with his family. Henry even built a special castle just for them where they could live together as a fake happy family. But I don't think you needed a castle to live a fake life. You could do that anywhere. Henry passed away in 1189 and Eleanor survived him by 5 years. Because she had a pretty solid claim to the English throne, there were some who thought she would try to take it for herself. However, when Henry died, he left his possessions to his son, Richard the Lionheart. Despite not being too fond of her husband, Eleanor loved her sons very much and she wanted what was best for them. So instead of trying to take the throne, she went to live the rest of her days at a castle in France, which she shared with her daughter Marie. Eleanor was a prolific collector of art and artifacts, many of which she brought with her when she moved to France. And one of the items she collected was a bronze vase. It wasn't anything fancy. It looked like a regular old vase to most people. But Eleanor knew better. She understood the vase's true nature, which is why she hid it away in the castle's treasury and told no one of its existence. The vase in question became known as the Banshee vase. Why? Because it was said to amplify any curses cast upon it. Whatever ill fate befell those who laid their hands on the vase, it would affect them tenfold. For example, if someone merely desired wealth, the vase would ensure they would never have enough money, and they would always be envious of those who had more. If someone wanted power, the vase would make sure they would obtain it, but at the cost of everything they held dear. And if someone wanted love, the vase would make sure that their desire would come true, but their lover would turn out to be a serial killer. Yeah, really bad if you ask me. When Eleanor passed away, Marie inherited the vase, but she had no idea about its existence. It wasn't until several years later that she found it in her mother's old chambers. Marie threw it in the trash and hoped that whoever came across the vase would have good intentions. Sadly, that was not the case. The vase was discovered by Marie's servant, Germaine, who immediately felt its power. Germaine was extremely ambitious, and she believed that the vase would help her climb the social ladder. Little did she know that the vase had other plans for her. Its power manifested itself in ways that were subtle at first. People began to whisper about Marie's strange obsession with expensive fabrics, and although her living situation did not change, suddenly she was getting invited to more social events than she could attend. Pretty soon, people began to notice that she was losing weight and seemed to be in a perpetual state of exhaustion. And then, one night, While attending a party hosted by the king, Marie simply vanished into thin air. One moment she was there talking to the king, and the next moment she was gone. No trace of her was ever found. People suspected foul play at first, but no one could have guessed that it was the vase that caused her disappearance. Having now experienced its powers firsthand, it was clear to anyone who came in contact with it that the vase was cursed, and so it was sealed away once again, this time buried under the castle along with Germain's remains. It remained undiscovered for almost 700 years until some construction workers uncovered it in 1968. Luckily, they turned it over to the authorities immediately, and it ended up in the British Museum, where it still resides today. So, why does this vase have so much power? Well, it's not actually a vase at all. Instead, it's the skull of Baba Yaga. If you aren't familiar with her, she was a witch from Slavic folklore who lived deep in the woods in a hut that had chicken legs. She was known for taking children into her hut, fattening them up for a few weeks, and then killing and eating them. There are many stories about her, but the details change depending on who's telling the tale. Sometimes she eats the kids right away. Other times she uses them as slaves. And sometimes she even helps the children and grants their wishes. So basically, she's kind of like Santa Claus, except she lives in the woods instead of at the North Pole. Anyway, Baba Yaga was killed by a prince, either by decapitation or burning, depending on the version. And after her death, the forest animals gathered her remains and buried them. Later, a young man stumbled across her grave, unearthed the skull and used it as a vase. This is why it has the ability to amplify curses. To put it simply, it was imbued with magic by Baba Yaga herself. In fact, there are 3 skulls that possess this power. The first one is kept at the British Museum and is known as the Basano Vase. The second one is currently missing, and its whereabouts are unknown. And the third one is owned by an anonymous collector. All 3 skulls are incredibly dangerous, but the one at the museum is the most powerful. Some say that it can sense emotions and will punish those who exude negative energy. Others say that it's sentient and actively looks for opportunities to harm others. Whatever the truth may be, it's best not to take any chances. That's why the British Museum keeps it locked up tight and only allows experts to handle it. There have been several attempts throughout the years to steal the vase. The first one happened shortly after it was discovered. Some thieves snuck into the museum after hours, but they couldn't actually get to the vase because it's encased in a glass box. They did manage to swipe an ancient Egyptian sculpture off the wall, though, but they returned it a few days later when they realized that it was cursed. Apparently, it inflicted the thief with horrible nightmares and visions of the afterlife. Another attempt happened in 2001 when a man tried to smash the vase with a hammer. He managed to chip a piece off the rim, but that was it. Then in 2008, a man poured acid onto the vase, hoping it would dissolve. Again, he didn't get very far, and it took several people to pull him off. These incidents may seem hilarious to some, but it's important to remember that stealing artifacts from museums is a serious crime. The men who attempted to steal the vase were charged with criminal mischief and trespassing. If you ever visit the British Museum, keep an eye out for the Banshee vase. Who knows, maybe you'll be able to sense its power and feel its rage. Just don't touch it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Also, please let us know in the comments what you would do if you came across a cursed artifact. Like the type that makes your every wish come true, but for every wish you make, an innocent life must be sacrificed. What would you do?